thanks for those who are tuning in. This is another live by Faith and Fitness by Garth. I hope you don't hear any of the noise in the background. There's a lot of things going on. Please forgive me for that. It's out of my control, but I'm here to just check in. I know I haven't been live in almost, let's just check. The last live I did was June 17th. And a lot of things have been going on personally. Well, a lot of different shifts in my personal life, moving in a new environment. But through it all, the Most High God has given me the tools and the strength and the fortitude to keep going through and to keep on producing. I just came on today to just keep encouraging everyone who may be going through tough times, who may be experiencing a lot of things that we're all experiencing now, especially if you're living in the States with all these different news of war, rumors of war, and especially for us who are trying to remain healthy, the food industry is under attack with this new illness called Cyclospora or cyclosporiasis is the actual condition, and cyclospora is the actual parasite that causes the illness, and it's causing people to have explosive diarrhea, and that's crazy to think about. That the food that we eat, well, if you've been on this channel, I've always advocated for trying to eat as clean as possible, and you know, revealing in my past lives have revealed a lot of secret ingredients that they put in, especially junk food and fast food, that's keeping you fat and keeping you stressed out and messing with your hormones. But now this new illness is primarily in things like lettuce and fruit, and those things are supposed to be healthy for us, and those are supposed to be quote unquote clean foods, and now there is an outbreak of it, and I will cover that shortly. And if anyone wants to chime in and give a comment, you're always welcome to. And if you want to support this channel, I will put my Cash App in the comments. All right, and there's my Cash App. And here I have two videos to share about Cyclospora. And let me get that up for you. Also, I'm using a new computer, so forgive me. Let me get these. There we go.
No lettuce for me. Today, confusion over the source of the Cyclospora outbreak is leading to a different kind of confusion. What's safe to eat?
Are we all
Fair use.
going to get that diarrhea parasite?
I want my salad, please. Health officials say they're making progress.
We do have the outbreak under control.
But many of the details remain unclear. The FDA says Taylor Farms remains under investigation, even after ruling out an earlier positive test. All of that leading to lots of unanswered questions, and some consumers leaving lettuce behind.
Is anyone else boycotting lettuce like it's the plague?
Crisis communication expert Molly McPherson says the unknown is part of the problem. There's still a lot that we don't know. Is uncertainty, in a way, its own biggest hurdle for a lot of these brands and companies to navigate?
The science is confusing, the regulation is confusing. So much about this case really rests on the confusion of it all.
The result?
Accountability.
Yeah.
So we're learning now there's, I guess, the first lawsuit linked to all.
Hello, Sister Cynthia. I mean, I haven't been afraid of vegetables. I just try to wash them. I will probably start trying to wash them with like some vinegar today on another channel, Covenant Awakenings. If those of you who haven't heard of it, you should check it out. It's a great channel. Some people have talked about soaking your vegetables or fruits in food grade, and that's key because hydrogen peroxide isn't something that can be consumed unless it's food grade, or it's less harsher chemically if it's food grade. That you could soak it in food grade peroxide, and it helps get rid of all the parasites and all of the different things that come through the chemicalization of pesticides and things of that nature. But that's my advice. I wouldn't be too afraid to eat vegetables or fruits. I would just try to clean them to the best of my ability, and also pray over your food each time you eat it. And also, you can basically, if you are taking things like different things that help give your gut microbiome diversity, it shouldn't affect you as much. But a lot of things that they're doing with food, it's destroying our gut microbiome, and what that does is it gives opportunistic bacteria and fungi free reign to basically cause dysbiosis, basically just like a imbalance of those bacterias, because we have bacterias and different fungi in our stomach, and when they're in homeostasis and when they're in balance, that allows us to consume different things without getting sick or causing disease. When it isn't, if there isn't a balance, that is when the environment of your stomach, because the environment of your gut microbiome, because basically that's where most of our disease and allergies and different things come from. And I will give the disclaimer, I'm not a doctor and I'm not giving medical advice, but a lot of the things that you eat and a lot of the things that cause different allergies and things are due to your gut microbiome being out of balance. Because basically, when you're eating different things, your body, it goes through your small intestine then digests it, and then it goes through your stomach, and then your stomach has a gut lining. Your gut lining is then basically the defense from things getting into your blood. And if your gut lining integrity is, you know, what's the word? Compromised. There you go. Basically, if there's any holes in it, that's what they call leaky gut. Things and different proteins could get into your bloodstream, and that's how different allergies and disease would happen. Yes, it would be good to take probiotics. That's definitely a great idea. I would take probiotics. I haven't taken them in a while. But you could also you could get good, basically probiotics from the different foods you eat. You could eat, people who ferment sauerkraut that has a lot of good probiotics and good bacteria that can help combat different things. A lot of these things our parents and grandparents who definitely lived in farms and agriculture, they used to do these things. Like my mom used to tell me how my grandmother used to make her own apple cider vinegar, and then how they would use that, or, use different remedies from the plants and the herbs that we've had to combat different diseases. But now everything is so, with the adventation of consumerism and everyone being busy and trying to, live day by day and make it and you know, try to, work as much so they could afford to live. There isn't any way to, find the time to do these things. And that's, fabricated and contrived and done on purpose, but that's not really the scope of what I want to talk about. But yeah, you could definitely take probiotics to help with um, different ailments, and basically you could do different things. You could get apple cider vinegar and start drinking that after meals. That helps with your digestion. It also helps with the diversity of the bacteria in your stomach, because basically that's what these parasites and bacteria do. They alter different things, and if you're already have a weak immune system, that's when they are able to run rampant, and then that's when disease starts. And I also have another video to share, because apparently have two people in Michigan have died from this, or got deleted, excuse me. And this thing is spreading. Let me get that video up. Oh, yeah, this computer. I'm just getting used to it. I don't use this computer often. Give me a second. What just happened? There we go. StreamYard has changed. It's always changing. But with change, all you got to do is adapt. Well, that should be good. I'll start the video.
Turning our attention to Michigan, as the nationwide Cyclospora outbreak has turned deadly. At least 2 people have died. And while the illness is typically not fatal, health officials say the 2 immunocompromised patients got even sicker after catching the foodborne parasite. For more on this, let's go out to Fox's Caroline Elliott with the latest.
The infamous explosive diarrhea parasite has now turned deadly in Michigan after the state reported the first 2 deaths linked to the outbreak.
There are hospitalizations, and definitely the immunocompromised or individuals that have some really bad reactions to that.
According to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, both patients had, quote, significant underlying health conditions and died after getting the foodborne illness.
When someone is ill, they should, after a couple of days of experiencing, the watery diarrhea, and if it doesn't go away, they should definitely seek medical attention.
Michigan is the hardest hit among the 45 states reporting cases, with more than 11,000 total, and as of late July, nearly 200 hospitalizations. Federal health officials linked the outbreak to lettuce imported from Mexico that served at Taco Bell locations around the country. And since then, some producers have seen more consumers buying local.
People have really come out of the woodwork and want to know where their food is coming from.
And Michigan health officials won't be releasing any more information publicly on the 2 fatal cases, but added that death from the parasite is highly uncommon in the U.S. And New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
All right, thank you so much for that. This comes from Herb Scribner saying, new as Cyclospora, the outbreak causes the first 2 deaths this coming in Michigan as over 10,000 cases have been reported. Let's be joined right now by that reporter from Axios, Herb Scribner. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And this generally isn't very fatal. Official individuals passed away.
That's my son in my truck here in Orange County, Florida.
Yeah.
3 million views as of this morning. The comments are exactly what you'd think they are. He got his license 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I let him take the truck to grab
of cases every week. We don't even know the full amount of cases at this point. Like it just keeps climbing. Not everything's getting reported. And now you're seeing fatalities. When this hit today, it was kind of like a major moment because this isn't usually a disease that an illness that causes death. It's not really like that's just not usually a concern for health officials. I think the approach though is kind of like, they had the people who died had underlying health conditions and it was related to dehydration, it sounds like, which is also a major concern that a lot of experts have.
Do we know anything more about those underlying health conditions? Because they said both patients, they had potentially conditions. Do we know what or how much might have impacted how they handled?
I haven't seen anything yet on that aspect. I just know the dehydration. I've spoken to a lot of experts over the last few weeks who they keep reiterating, stay hydrated, get as hydrated as you can, because that's like the long-term problem. We talk about symptoms with this, and I know the headline is always watery diarrhea, explosive diarrhea, but there's things like nausea, fatigue, just gas, so to speak. And then dehydration is the big one that's affecting a lot of people. So it's always those extra symptoms that you don't normally think about that are going to be really problematic for people.
And we do know that there's information out there that this outbreak likely stemmed from lettuce coming from Mexico that was sold at Taco Bell across different states, obviously, for out have a definitive though exactly where this started, where it came from.
I would say it's hard to say it's definitive. I think there's a lot of the arrows are pointing at Taylor Farms, and like you said, the Taylor Farms lettuce that's sold in grocery stores and marketplaces, and then obviously Taco Bell, that being the main thing. I just think it's interesting that like there was a recall in those iceberg lettuces, those mixed greens, like there was already a recall being made, and we're still seeing thousands of cases almost a month later. And obviously it takes time for everything to get out of the supply chain. It takes time for people to not eat those foods anymore. Like if a bag of lettuce, maybe it's still good in your fridge, although by now I'd question that. But yeah, I think there's just, we don't have a primary source in that way. And I think there's been a lot of muddied water when it comes to that. And so, yeah, I think we're still in the early stages of trying to figure that out and finding a way to keep people safe and get them not to eat the things that are contaminating them.
You mentioned the recall, and this has been in the news cycle, Cyclospora, for quite some time. Why exactly is it hard for health officials to pinpoint where this came from?
Yeah, it just, I think this is an interesting case because there's a lot of cases coming out of Michigan, which is why it's being zeroed in on, but you see cases also spread out among the Great Plains and the Midwest. And, you could make the argument, maybe people ate something bad there and then it just expanded from there. But it's problematic because, you don't really know where this kind of thing started. I mean, so many things can get contaminated. Obviously lettuce is the big one that we're looking at right now. But people have also linked it to cilantro, parsley, historically, things like, and I spoke to a couple experts a couple days ago who were talking about, a lot of this is due to water contamination. The water has to be contaminated with feces of some sort. And so finding that direct source, where did it get contaminated, where in the supply chain, and then again, is everything moving out of the supply chain, or is it still locked in somewhere? Like, is everything getting out, or is it still coming through? And if it is coming through, then you're going to see those cases. So, and then on top of that, on all these layers, on top of that is the CDC has pulled back on some of the monitoring they're doing. And when it comes to, this is one of those illnesses that's not being monitored as much. Things like Salmonella and E. coli are still being tracked, but this is one of those ones that they pulled back on. And so, that's also a problem in an aspect because we're not seeing the total number of cases, maybe not seeing them as quickly as possible. And so the number could be a lot bigger than it is right now.
And outside of people checking those expiration dates on any lettuce in your fridge, or understanding and paying attention to some of these recalls, is the CDC, is the FDA, are they producing new guidance on how people should prepare this produce, some lettuce and other leafy greens, when this is out there?
Yeah, there's a lot of advice out there. I think, primarily you want to make sure you're washing it under running water. There's even guidance that you should be using soap, and depending on what food you're washing, there's cases for using other kind of detoxants, like I think bleach can be used in certain situations. Obviously look it up before, don't just pour bleach on your veggies. But, you can look into this kind of stuff and see different ways of hand washing. The problem is with this illness specifically is that the parasite that causes the illness doesn't necessarily get killed by soap or some of these other, cleaning things. So even if you do wash it, it is the best practice, but it still may not help you in the long run because the parasite lives in there and is really hard to weed out. So, but be careful, wash your hands, wash your food, check your expiration dates, make sure you know where you're getting your produce from. I think the segment earlier said that people are looking at local places. So that might be worth checking out. But yeah, keep an eye, and you can obviously look up online what you need to find and what you need to look at really easily these days. Just, type it, I had lettuce the other day and I looked up, is this lettuce safe? And it gave me an answer. The answer was yes. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think that's the best thing you can do. Yeah.
And it also might spark a new trend of people gardening in their backyard, potentially trying to plant some lettuce in there. I do want to ask you, because this outbreak, hopefully not going to last forever, what threshold does need to be met to know this outbreak is under control, is contained in some fashion?
That's a good question. I think right now we're seeing, I think it's, at least 11,000 cases. That was on Friday, I believe, and the week before was at 7,000. So you're seeing anywhere between 4 and maybe it's even higher of maybe 5,000-6,000 cases in a week. Typically I think we see a low number of cases a year, and this
Yeah, and the outbreak continues because now they're talking about Chipotle and jalapenos, and I will share that video shortly. Give me 1 second.
I am on day 17 of this parasite, and I'm not having a good time.
The CDC now confirming more than 10,000 cases of cyclospora infections across 47 states, and they're looking into another 12,000, some of which federal officials say are linked to the recalled iceberg lettuce supplied by Taylor Farms. Ohio's health director says it's not time to avoid fruits and vegetables altogether, but instead focus on inspecting and cleaning the produce we buy.
This is something to take very seriously.
Meanwhile, this morning, diners in Minnesota are waking up to a recent salmonella surge. At least 110 cases have been identified so far, according to the state's health department. With jalapenos from a popular fast casual chain, Chipotle, a main focus. State officials say 89% of those who've gotten sick since mid-June ate at Chipotle, while the rest dined at other Mexican-style restaurants. In a statement, Chipotle saying they, quote, proactively removed the jalapenos in question and replaced them with products from different growers. What's the difference between salmonella and cyclosporiasis?
Cyclosporiasis is from a parasite, and people tend to recover very slowly over a couple weeks time period. With salmonella, we see 400 deaths a year.
As Americans grow more weary and worried about these events, industry experts say these recent outbreaks highlight correctable flaws in our nation's food supply.
Every company, no matter big, small, should be following very, very strict food safety protocols in order to make sure that they're not killing their customers or making their customers sick.
It's a lot of folks are legitimately worried right now. And you mentioned there in the story that lettuce may not be the only link here. What else are officials looking at?
Well, with the cyclospora outbreak in North Carolina, they say when they interview people, there are two herbs that keep coming up, parsley and cilantro. So they are telling people in that state, look, remove it if you're eating it fresh or cook it, because that way it will kill the parasite. In Michigan, they have been advising people in that state to avoid bagged salads because of cyclospora. Now, with the salmonella outbreak in Minnesota and perhaps elsewhere, the FDA is looking at not just peppers or the jalapeno peppers, but other things as well. So they haven't pointed to a single source on a national basis. In Minnesota, they think it's the peppers mainly from Chipotle.
All right. So likely more to come, though. So,
yes.
All right. And thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
That's my wife in the truck here in Orange County, Florida.
Yep.
14 million views as of this morning. The comments are
all right, and that's all I really wanted to share today. So I hope this was helpful. Now they want to mention backyard gardens as if they are a problem. Well, yeah, everything is being under attack, and my advice is to just keep praying and doing practical things that you can with your food, with your vegetables and your fruits. And that's the best advice I could give. And I will try to be more active on my channel, especially going live. And I'll try to schedule them more ahead of time, so it's so people could be aware of when I'm going live. So also, if you want to check out my website, I'll put that in the chat. And also, if you would like to learn how to get fit and use God's word as a way to help kill your procrastination, you can check out my ebook that is in the link of the description of this live. And also, I offer consultations if you're interested in learning how I am able to stay fit, or if you need a workout program, I can provide that as well. Let me put those links in the chat. And that is the link for my ebook, and I should have pasted that separately. The confidence consultation is there as well. And if you want a workout program as well, the link is there. Let me do this a lot, repost this better. That's for the ebook, and that's for the confidence consultation. The confidence consultation, I basically go through with you basically what your goals are, what you need help with, and how to achieve that. So you could look into that. And here is if you just want a workout program, basically see all the workouts that I post on my channel while I do the voiceovers. Some of those are the workouts I use, or I could give you advanced workouts or intermediate workouts or beginner workouts to help achieve whatever your goals are, whether it's muscle gain or weight loss or a bit of both. And Sister Cynthia, I will try to email me again, and I'll try to help figure out what I can do to help you get access to the ebook. Because let me just go to it now real quick. Bear with me. Okay, you got it? All right. Well, that's great. And again, I just hope this is inspirational for everyone who's listening, and educational. And, as I know, a lot of people are going through a lot of different trials and a lot of different situations. I just tell you to keep seeking the Most High God and praying through your situation, and He will help you see it through. and don't let anything that's going on deter you from what he wants you to do. And on that note, shalom and God bless.